So, Zaka, number one, I don't think Nupur Sharma said anything which is not there in the religious texts of Islam. Uh, it's just been blown out of proportion. Maybe the way she said it, somebody could take umbrage, but it's very much there in the religious text, unless, of course, people want to repudiate those texts. That's another matter altogether. The second thing is that I don't know why we are getting this impression that India was never on the in the crosshairs of local, regional, and transnational jihadist groups. We've always been on the target list. We've always been there, and in fact, from around 2014, 2015, when the ISIS had come up, the ISIS Khorasan had come up, that Vilayat had been formed. Of course, as Tara is saying very correctly, the Pakistan and the Hind province chapters came much later. But ever since that point of time, India and the entire subcontinent has been seen as one of the largest growth markets for this ideology. It is we who have been fooling ourselves that we will remain untouched from this phenomena which is sweeping through Islamic societies across the globe. Uh, but the Russians have been pretty smart about it. A part of the reason being that there are a lot of Russians who have been involved in the ISIS, who have been part of the ISIS. So the threat perception in Russia is very high. I think the capacities and capabilities of the Russian intelligence is quite admirable. And number three, I think from whatever I've read in the open domain today, there were some conversations going on Telegram, which is
Hmm.
essentially a Russian social media platform. So
Yeah.
I'm sure they were monitoring it all. But I think what is very worrisome for me, at least, is the fact that this guy was going to come to India and then tie up with a local cell of the ISIS. And I think that is something which we really need to start looking at much more carefully. And I think it's about time we stop staying in denial that Muslims in India will not be affected by Al Qaeda or by ISIS or any of these other characters. I think we are as vulnerable as any other country to this particular phenomena. And the only good thing to come out of this news today is that if there was any denial or any complacency on the part of Indian authorities, I think that needs to go out of the window.
Okay, I want to
I
ask
think
General
among
Kulkarni. I think it was George Bush who had famously said in many speeches, actually, that India, here's a country which has 100 million plus Muslims and not a single Al Qaeda recruit. But surely that has changed. Certainly from 2014-15, we had this bunch of people who had gone to join ISIS in Afghanistan, in Syria. But after those wars concluded or drew down to a less active phase, it was felt that either many of these people have died in those countries or the movement itself simply died. But now this man being arrested in Russia, and that too potentially for coming to India to attack some kind of a political functionary for a perceived insult to Prophet Muhammad, how worried should the security agencies be about this?
Absolutely, Zaka. It is a matter of concern. It is without doubt it is a matter of concern because it affects the 21st century peace and prevailing all over. That is, they're hell bent on ensuring that the caliphate spread. Everybody thought that the ISIS had virtually had been wiped out or something. It isn't so. It was just an offshoot of Al Qaeda. 2014, you saw. Again in 2015, we heard names of Jihadi John, cubs of the caliphate. You saw how the Russian spies were killed and how they've been going about. Even Turks themselves have been in two minds. They've also celebrated al-Baghdadi. They've also celebrated the capture of al-Baghdadi's wife, sister. So you find that Turkey has not been wanting to be rather silent player when it comes to ISIS because their main targets are the Kurds. Of course, the Russians and the Turks also are under different war footing totally altogether when it comes to terrorism is concerned.
Yeah.
But when right now, when a person of maybe a Central Asian origin, maybe a Russian, who was being sent and trained and brainwashed, being sent to Turkey and been targeting, well, if something like this is you will accept, and that this is a phenomena, and this is a radicalization, and it is an ideological war. In an ideological war, the perception management, and you notice in India also, since about July, a lot of these NIA raids have been going on at the ICI. You saw Mohsin Khan, that boy was caught from Butler House. He said, no, we are not part of it. We are not financing it, but he's a very innocent boy. All these kind of things, there's a lot of sleeper cells, a lot of fundings that is coming from all over. Obviously, we have to be very, very alert. Social platforms being utilized, cybers, we have got to be very vigilant of what it is. We have to monitor what's going on. Our relationship with Russia has been so strong that Russians have been able to inform us that such a thing has happened. They also seem to feel that nobody will suspect a Russian, and therefore the Russian could easily find his way into India. And then you have, a lone wolf doing this kind of a thing. We have to be very, very alert. We cannot at all be complacent on these issues. We really need to have a minister in India for only internal security to ensure anti-terrorism, because this is something, a threat. And once they do, it's a question of striking one and then scaring the millions and being able to say that, well, look at the kind of roots that these people have. Obviously, there are a lot of sleeper cells. You know what's been going on in South. You see the NIA raid about 6 odd states in India where the ISIS have been targeting. We have to monitor social platforms. We have to see the internet, what's going on over there. There's nothing that we need to stop. It is a threat, and we have to be alive to it. We have to be very, very vigilant.
Dr.